afternoon. Good afternoon. I see you at lunch. And you have discovered some of the innovations of our young people this morning. As I said in my opening speech, right? They are integrating AI. They're generating so many new things, those young Europeans. And they're still 16 years old. And I still wonder what I was doing at that time, right? It's incredible. But at JA, we've been one of the very first in integrating AI into our entrepreneurship education programs. Well, the World Economic Forum says that we are one of the 7 best practices in the world in including AI in entrepreneurship education. I don't know if we are the best, but definitely we were one of the first, because already back in 2020, we have been launching some of the programs. We've been training teachers into the schools. We've been learning from our mistakes. And definitely now you see the results. Because when you are going around in the expos, you see that the young people in their products, they've integrated AI. They've created AI solutions, but also they are utilizing AI for their business company. So we're not talking only about creating AI solutions, but also on how these young people are utilizing AI in the development of their businesses. So I will be joined by a very distinguished panel that will have a lot of questions to answer. But first of all, we have someone who made a question to all of you, which is Eva Maydell on Shaping Europe Future. And Eva is the member of the European Parliament. So let's hear from her.
Most young Europeans use AI every day, but very few are being taught how it works, what its risks are, or how to shape its development. And that has to change. Throughout the past 2 European Parliament mandates and continuing into my third, I have worked to advance digital and now AI skills across Europe. I believe these competences are the foundation of our economic strength, our security, our resilience in an increasingly fast-changing and evolving world. AI is no longer something abstract, distant in the future. It's already transforming healthcare, education, agriculture, and the way we hire and work. From precision farming to car repair, many jobs that were once entirely analog now require digital and AI-related skills. But our education systems haven't quite kept pace, have they? So even among the so-called digital natives, many lack the critical skills needed to navigate this new world. And if we don't act, we risk deepening existing inequalities across the continent. We used to say that schools should focus on reading, writing, and arithmetic, but today I would say that we should add AI literacy to that list. Not everyone needs to become a coder, but everyone needs to understand the system shaping their lives and careers. So here's my question to you. What would help you feel thoroughly prepared to succeed in an AI-powered future, and what kind of policy would you enact?
What kind of policies would you enact? Well, I will be joined on stage by a very distinguished panel. Let me welcome on stage Mario Nava, Director General of the Directorate General for Employment, Social Affairs and Inclusion of the European Commission. Please, Mario, join us on stage. JA alumni, the chair of JA Worldwide, Ashish Advani. See you. We have great partners who are investing on JA, on AI, and all of our program. One of these is EY, and we have with us Gillian Hind, Global Corporate Social Responsibility Leader at EY.
Thank you.
So we are also focusing a lot here in Greece and Cyprus because we have the managing director at HP, Nikos Christakis. And you have seen this morning that we have one of our great partner, great national partner, the Director and Research and Innovation at PPC, Ioannis Markoulidakis. I hope I pronounced it well. So that sounds very good that everybody's talking about AI wherever we go. There is no meeting, there is no debate, there's no conference without talking about UI. Let me start with the first batch of questions to you, Mario, and Ashish. Maybe let me start with Ashish related to, I gave a few hints there, what we do at JA. With AI, but how do you bring this global perspective of JA, not only in Europe, but globally about AI?
So first of all, thank you for being here. You could be networking at lunch and building your networking skills, which is going to be more essential during the age of AI, but yet you're here listening to a panel, which we could summarize using AI. So I hope you made the right choice in being here. So what does JA do in AI? I mean, what's happening around the JA network is there's so much innovation. What you rightly said, Sal, is JA Company Program and JA Startup, which are the entrepreneurship programs you're seeing today, are one of the first places where we leaned in early, and we've learned a lot because we leaned in early. We got some great recognition from the World Economic Forum, of course, but the learning is fascinating. So let me give you a few things that we've observed. Just like in the early days of the internet, people are using AI differently, just like people use the internet differently in the early days of that innovation. We used to categorize AI as automation and augmentation, right? You used AI to reduce your costs, to develop operational excellence in a cost-effective way, or you use AI to augment the human experience. Now, many of you saw the presentations today, the high school presentations and the university level presentations. You saw many businesses who were using AI in both ways. Let me just give you a couple of examples because I think stories are more important than sometimes some generality. So I was taking copious notes as I watched these presentations. Some of you may have seen PulsePal, which was the team from Albania that won the EU Code Week.
The EU Code Week,
yes.
Supported by the European Commission.
And they were using AI effectively for sense making of heart rate, right? So that's one very specific application, which is more, I think, about augmentation of the human experience, not just saving money, because the outcomes might be better than humans doing it, right? So it's not just saving money, it's actually augmenting more accurate outcomes. And then we saw so many other great presentations who are leaning into AI for what I'd call the modular success of building a business. So AI isn't core to what they do, but they used AI to actually effectively do a better job of building a business plan or developing an output. I saw a presentation which didn't use AI at all, at least they didn't say in their presentation. And I want to use that as a good example. This was a high school team from Estonia, and they built, I love this product, they built candles for birthday cakes that are edible. So when you light the birthday cake, I don't know if you saw that presentation, you could eat the candle. Brilliant, brilliant presentation. Did not mention AI once in their presentation. It's entirely possible they used AI to write the business plan. Maybe they used AI to come up with the idea. Possible, we don't know. So I think what's happening at JA is AI is becoming embedded. And it's not something which is separate. It's something which is embedded into the way students develop their entrepreneurial ventures. So the way we have to teach AI in these entrepreneurship modules also has to change. So we've developed, for example, at JA, an initiative called JA Institute, which is a research-based initiative to take our data and actually use evidence-based ways to develop improvements in the interventions that we have. And I'm going to share with you some of the data I have in perhaps a later response, but let me highlight just one thing to whet your appetite. We're seeing that when students have a mentor involved in how they use AI, the outcomes are better. The outcomes are better based on the confidence of the student going up, because now they have a mentor telling them this is the right way to do it. And the results of what they're doing, whether it's more awards or sort of better outcomes for their businesses, is also higher. So that's one thing we've seen from the data that we've analyzed. So I'll pause there and maybe hear from Mario.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ashish. And actually, I'm adding just one other example because a couple of weeks ago, there was Viva Tech. Everybody was there. You saw Macron was there. And NVIDIA founder was there, great, amazing. But there was also one young guy on stage with the founder of NVIDIA, Cornel Amarei from Cluj, from Romania. Cornel, 12 years ago, he created a mini company with JA. He started using it, the original Google glasses, for people who were blind. And he started adding AI sensors for blind people to walk freely, without a stick, without a dog. Imagine, from that idea, generative AI came in, it just empowered it. And now this guy is up there. The European Innovation Council actually has selected as one of the best and has invested into it, has made him the business, sustainable. So we're very proud of having at least instilled from very early age to the young people the necessity, but also the curiosity of including something new in their businesses. This will lead to eventually better educational outcomes. How do you see this from the European Commission?
Oh, first of all, thank you very much. And to rebound on what Ashid said, it's very clear why I'm here. I mean, JI is a fantastic initiative. We're proud of being partnering with you. You are Nobel Prize candidate for peace. This is enormous, okay? The European Union won the Nobel Prize 15 years ago. And you are candidate, so I wish you all the best, but this is absolutely enormous. Let me start first with that, the link between doing lots of things for the youngsters, for the junior achievement, with a strong link on artificial intelligence and being Nobel Prize candidate. Why? Because, of course, education is peace. There's nothing else to say. It's true education and it's peace. In Europe, we have a fundamental fortune that no other areas of the world has, which is that most of our education is essentially free. I mean, in Europe, you can go till the university, excellent universities, for free. That means what? That means that in an increasingly more tight labor market, essentially for demographic reasons, but also for other reasons, in an increasingly more tight labor market where everybody works, you can make sure that even the last one who comes and works is good enough. I mean, I think, and this is the first point I want to put forward, I think more and more in the next 10 years, we will observe that education and skills are not only private goods, but they are public goods. They're public goods because the labor market is tight, because everybody works. And if someone who is not good, who has no skills, who has little education works, that's a damage for the whole society. And that's exactly why an initiative like yours is great. Like many of you, I'm a two-handed economist, so I understand things on the one hand and on the other hand. On the one hand, the demand. What does the demand say about artificial intelligence? We have made a survey. As you know, we have an agency called CEDEFOP, which is here in Greece, not exactly in Athens, but in Thessaloniki, a few hundred kilometers north. And we ask the agencies to look in a larger spectrum the impact of AI on the job request. And basically what they come up with is a quite important number, is that more than 60% of the European workers would need more training to cope with the impact of artificial intelligence on their work now, basically, now or in the next year. This clearly puts the bar very high. Now 60% or more than 60% is what we call in our jargon the Porto target. That's the target of how many people we want trained, but that should mean that the totality of the train goes on artificial intelligence. So one of the two things, either we increase the target or we find something else. But this is on the demand side. For entrepreneurship, the artificial intelligence is one of the 8 components of life learning. So it's very clear that on the demand side, there is no doubt. And there is one very important thing that Ashid said modestly, but I want to emphasize it, is the embedding, the mainstreaming of artificial intelligence into whatever is demanded. Now, those famous candle that you can eat, you cannot exclude that maybe the microchip that learns the birthday of everybody around the table, so that you sell more and more candles next time, or something of that type. So the embedding of artificial intelligence in whatever we do, it's very obvious, and you see very well that also those who are not there, they just try to go there. Google whatever you want on Google. Now, since few months, the first reply comes from artificial intelligence. And then if you don't like it, you go and search at the sources behind. So on the demand side, I would say it's clear there is nothing else to do. On the supply side, so what can we do in order to increase that? Now, it's easy to hear education in Europe on this artificial intelligence needs to increase. Well, you know, we are in Greece, probably the land of education, the land of philosophy. What we know is that the education you get in the first 18 years is crucial the more difficult it is. What you need to have is difficult education. You need to study ancient Greek or mathematics or something that really trains your brain, exactly as if you swim and you train your body. And then on the top of that, whatever other things is possible. So I believe a basic education, a strong education helps. But of course, then you need the link to the labor market. And that's where we are making more and more effort. As you know, we have the EIT, which is the European Institute for Innovation and Technology, which is a partner of JI. What we try to do, what I'm trying to mention, of course, is the initiatives that one way or another connect with JI, because we try to construct an ecosystem, if you pass me the word, where all these initiatives are connected. So first of all, the EIT, which of course tries to boost pretty dramatically in the last few years the innovation capacity on AI, and I think this was one of their jobs. And then what we have is the vocational education and training. This is something very strong on which we are coming, on which we are putting lots of resources, also from the European Social Fund, to make sure that if youngsters don't go to university, then there is an alternative, and the alternative is very solid. There is something very symbolic. I don't know if you saw it on the media yesterday or today, but since yesterday, 2 days ago, the European Commission has decided to open the stage, the famous stage at the European Commission that till the day before yesterday were only for university graduates, has been open to vocational educational training students. So we will have students with us doing, I don't know, accounting or the cookers or aspiring drivers or whatever. But I think this is very important. How much artificial intelligence there is there, as Ashid said, we don't know, but probably a lot. Probably a lot.
And if
so
we don't
I'll
know,
stop
we can ask AI to give us a response on
Exactly.
how much it's going to be. Definitely. Thank you, Mario. Let me move to Gillian, because we touched upon this disparities. Yes, disparity in labor market, education to labor market, disparity in the same educational systems. Now, how can we make sure that this gap does not become a canyon, especially for those young people who do not have access to those? Gillian.
No, I think it's a great question, and we actually at EY, we recently completed this attractiveness survey in Europe, and it was showing that I think 77% of European businesses are really struggling to invest and attract talent that have got strong skills in AI, and there's a huge pull to work with the education system differently. So for industries and educators to partner more holistically and more strongly. So I think that's why initiatives like Digital Europe, for example, where EY is a member industry consortium, where Digital Europe is looking at big platforms to scale around AI and digital literacy and upskilling. And I think from a partnering perspective, and I think that's where working with both private and public and educational systems, from a partnering perspective, we look, for example, we've partnered with Microsoft around the AI skills passport, which we're scaling out to 30 countries, and the view is to go much broader than that. But that is where we can bring AI upskilling to multiple underserved communities and also show them the pathways to careers in AI. Also partnering with entrepreneurs like Technovation, and Technovation focus more on the gender disparity lens of AI upskilling, where I think we see that only 22% of women are actually part of the AI workforce. So we're working with Technovation and the ITU, one of the oldest UN agencies, to look at how do we actually upskill, what are the programs and what is the mentoring. So I think to your point, that we can inject from an AI perspective and an EY perspective around supporting girls getting into careers around AI. So I think the big message here is I think both industry and the education sector needs to do more, in terms of driving that integration. And I think mentoring is such a big part. And I think that's why we love working with Ashish, your team, and Sal and the team at JA. It's amazing to be in this room with so many innovators, and what can we do more? And I know we're going to talk about that a little bit later, but what can we do more in terms of supporting organizations and like JA?
I'm glad you say that, because only last year, so we served 6.5 million young people in Europe. Only last year, 6.5 million people in Europe and 20 million globally. But in Europe, we did it with 19 million teachers in the schools and 90,000 teachers, 90,000 teachers and 90,000 business volunteers from EY, from HP, that definitely went through the different schools and tried to reduce exactly this gap and those disparities in English.
First of all, I would like to welcome you all in Greece. It's not the first time, I know. It's not the first day. One small parenthesis to what Mario said before regarding the young people that were looking with AI capabilities and skills. I think we need to be also careful how we judge these people and who is judging these people, how we assess this one. Because usually we put an AI machine to judge the CVs of the people. And we need to be very careful on that, right? We need to have always the human touch. So, to your question, Salvatore, as you said, JEA Europe, that's 6.5 million students in Europe. This is amazing. It's one of the bright spots, I would say, in Europe. Another example is Finland, where they build AI elements with touching thousands of people all over Europe. But I do think that we still have a lot of things to do. Unfortunately, we don't have a consistent strategy and policies all over Europe. We have EU who is doing a lot of things. We have some governments that they are really putting the strategies in place in order to connect all the different dots. But still we have 1/3 of the population that they don't have access to digital skills. So I think we need to have an holistic view, an holistic approach, starting from students, building the policies in the countries, with EU, with the governments, with the local schools, with teachers. Of course, the technology part, the corporate partners can play a critical role there because they have the infrastructure, they have the know-how, they have the expertise. And then we need to create role models and we need to train the young people. Apart from that, we need to work as an inclusive, let's say, to have inclusivity in our strategy in order not to leave people aside, have young girls, invite young girls in the tech ecosystem, which is not happening right now, unfortunately, or people with disabilities. And again, JEA is a great example where they can bring people with disabilities, bringing their ideas, presenting their ideas, and make this possible. So we need to create this holistic view in order to close this gap.
I'm glad, and tonight we are going also to learn more about how we're creating this ecosystem. Here in Greece, Ioannis, you also as PPC are working quite a lot to reduce those disparities.
Yes, this is a very interesting topic because, as it was mentioned from the beginning, AI is going to trigger a set of waves of transformation and disruption across different sectors of, let's say, economy, society, and of course, education. So embracing AI in education is a major challenge at this stage because we don't know exactly how to do it. Let's be honest about this. Okay, so we need to take some decisions that formulate a framework, an open framework that will allow AI to become an enabler of, let's say, the future education. So after solving some basic issues like connectivity, because in Europe, fortunately, we have done a lot of work for broadband access, so we have resolved the issue of internet access. Then you realize that everybody has access to AI, even now. So accessibility itself is not an issue, it's what exactly we are going to do with AI, just it was mentioned before, and how to approach it. So in PPC, we are performing a lot of transformations. So, for example, transition from in the energy sector to green energy, digital and AI transformation in our operations, or new businesses that we open, like data centers, AI as a service, or fiber to the home business. So the experience from these transformations has some insights which we can share for education as well. The first insight is that you have to have a vision. You have to inspire people. You have to create a picture that somebody will say, I want to be part of this future. So this is our task for our young people there. And this is JEA is doing an excellent job, I think, in this area. The second insight is that you need knowledge transfer. So our training professional training system is adapting continuously to the needs and the objectives of our business. This is what we need also in education. You have to have a curriculum that adapts, not all the curriculum, but part of it should adapt to technology and the market trends. And the third one is engagement. What you get from a professional training is just 10% of what you are doing. The rest, 90%, is on the job training, is by engaging in real projects and doing things. So this is the type of work I think we need to do in schools as well, where you have actual engagement. So these are known things, it's not new. So I'm not trying to teach anyone here, of course, but how you are going to do this with AI, it's a major challenge. And in these cases where innovation comes into place, because exactly we don't know how to do it. So innovation in just one framework, you combine all these three aspects, because you get inspired from your ideas, you are motivated to seek for knowledge. You are not a passive knowledge receiver, you are seeking to support your ideas, and then you are engaging for making your idea a reality. And all these things happen in this magic way, and you see all this energy in these young people through this JEA initiative. That's why we believe it's an excellent...
hope that we can make the 3. If we're 2.5, I'm still going to be fine with it. 2.5, I'm going to be fine with it. You all have touched upon many things. We need policies, and the EU on this has been a bit on the forefront when it came to AI. We also need funding. We are here today because also the European Commission has been supporting us to the AI Entry for Youth. When I was mentioning to all of you the project including for the very first time AI in our entrepreneurship education program was thanks to the European Commission. So the funding has been not only in a matter of scales, but also in a matter of investing into new things, very fundamental for us. You touched upon girls and the disappearance of that. I remember still the program Girls Go Circular that we have done with the European Institute of Technology down there. So Mario, policies, yes, need to be followed by funding to make sure it happens there, and simplification, the 3.
Like always in life, you need to do things. You need a good governance and you need money. We live in a capitalistic world, we can be of goodwill, but if you don't have good governance and money, forget to achieve anything. Now, good governance. What is good governance? You said, and I think it's right, that the EU has been a bit at the forefront of AI. We have been both at the forefront of the Green Deal, the green transition. It's good to be at the forefront, but it's not enough. What matters is to be able to convince the other. I think with respect to what Nikos said, last year, the G7 under a European presidency, which happened to be Italy, we made a major step because the whole filière on work and social affairs was dedicated to AI. They signed a crucial document that many of you may have read in Cagliari, and the document says it's 15 pages. You don't need to read all the 15 because it basically says the 2 things Nikos was saying. Use AI as much as you want because it is more opportunities than threat, and I will come to that in a second, but to make sure that no matter what you do, there is always a human touch, a human control. It's called the human-centric approach to AI, human-centric both for where it is directed, to the people, it's not per se, but to the people, but with a human control. Why it's an opportunity and not a threat? You actually stole my line, Salvatore, on the Girls Go Circular, because we really value your contribution on the Girls Go Circular, which has been very helpful. But whenever we value something, we get addicted and we like to do more, basically.
They're putting more ambition for more targets.
Exactly.
You heard that, Jay, people, more work for all of us. Okay,
exactly.
That's good.
So what we want to do is that to building on the Girls Go Circular, which I think we could say without false modesty that it is a good example. What we would like is that the European Institute of Technology, which I mentioned a minute ago, will contribute to train about 100,000 girls to go to STEM. Why to go to STEM? Well, because one of the main things that we have that we are doing in the context of the Union of Skills is, of course, to bring the digital skills up there at the level of the STEM skills. So you have digital, you have maths, you have science, you have those skills. You need, as I said, I'm a two-handed economy, so you need lots of supply for that. There is no doubt, and therefore that's why we need a big effort. I think Girls Go Circular was very good. We need to push it. Now, before I conclude, I need to mention one thing, that because I think the work on governance has been decent and it got some results at the world level, at the G7, as I said. Last week, basically, at the end of May, so 3-4 weeks ago, we launched a draft artificial intelligence literacy framework for primary and secondary education developed with the OECD. So you see the link. We started from Europe. We moved it up to the G7. We got the G7 endorsement, and that means that with the OECD, we could launch this framework for primary and secondary education to embed AI. All of this is good news. The other good news, but of course requiring efforts from all of us, is that, as Salvatore was saying, this means we'll have to work more. But fine, we will do it. That's the reason why we are here, and we are passionate. And I think if the more you get results, it's like sports. In a team, the victory is unite. So the more you get results, the more united you are.
Thank you so much. And this is a good segue to you, Ashish, because we're seeing Europe going global, coming back to that. So what are you also seeing globally, and how we, as Europeans, can look at it?
I'm always very careful when I come to Europe to say you can learn anything from, dare I say, United States. So let me give you a few examples, and you tell me if they're relevant. I mentioned earlier we have J Institute. One of the gentlemen who's on our advisory board for J Institute is a senior economist at the World Bank. And he looked at the data, and he concluded, and this is kind of interesting, there's right now a belief that young people who come out of universities are going to have fewer entry-level job opportunities because AI is replacing those job opportunities. So much press on this topic. The question is this because of AI? Or is this because of the economic uncertainty of this moment in time? So he actually did the research to go and talk to companies and look at what the cause is. His conclusion is, in places in the world where the jobs are in professional services and technology, this reduction in the number of jobs is because of AI. But in the places in the world where the job market is broader than that, which is actually the less wealthy countries in the world, including here in Europe and elsewhere, the displacement is more because of the uncertainty of the economic condition, not because AI is replacing the jobs. So I thought that was actually something we can all take away as a data point of relevance. And this is one of the values, I think, of having J Institute, is we actually have an evidence-based, data-based way to draw conclusions. Let me give you one more example. This is a collaboration between us at EY. So EY is a founding partner of JA Boost. Some of you know what that is. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's a very exciting initiative where all of JA programs will one day have a mentor agent that will allow a young person in the poorest parts of the world, and even here in Greece. JA Greece now reaches people outside Athens. We're in 20% of all schools in Greece, all over the country. So there are parts of Greece that are not as wealthy as Athens. And those kids may not have access to a great volunteer, a great mentor. So we're trying to create a way to connect young people in, this is a vision now, in all of JA programs. We're starting with company program, the one that you're seeing here, with Pitchmaster. So a young person in the poorest part of the world will have access to the same great advice and ability to get feedback on their pitch, even if they don't have direct contact with a human mentor. Right? So that's a very concrete example of something we can all learn from. And I know, given that JA Europe, frankly, JA Europe has been a leader within the JA network of bringing AI and integrating into the program. So not only can I think JA Europe learn from JA Worldwide, but let's be honest, JA Worldwide and the rest of the world can really learn from JA Europe.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ashish. Well, we do it. Nikos, want to jump in? Yes,
I have
please.
one question to Ashish.
All right.
Have you started the program already?
Yes, so we are
Okay.
already piloting this program. Actually, EY, as I said, is a founding partner. We've gotten financial support and mentoring support from groups. I'm not sure if HP is also interested, but talk to me
we
afterwards.
would like to introduce as a pilot in Greece as well. I'm
Fabulous.
just-
Thank you. Thank you.
You're already
I've
getting
done my
those
job.
partnerships. You see this? This is amazing. I love
That was
HP.
the strategy, actually, wasn't it?
All part of the plan.
That was a very good pitch.
I think
The youngsters
you
have to
know,
learn.
HP would love to work with HP because when there was the tragedy of Ukrainian refugees going across Europe, I still remember that call that we made to HP because none of them had computers. And we have been able to bring, we call FedEx as well, to ship those computers across the schools, and they could have access today to those digital programs. So thank you so much about that. But Gillian, so already gave you some of the talking points,
Yes.
Ashish, of what we are doing it together. So what do you see as EY, the need for the future graduates, when they enter in the job market? I know you work.
I think it's, Sal, I think it's quite evident that AI literacy is almost becoming the new baseline. But the other attributes that are also so critically important are the human-centered areas of focus. So things like adaptability, critical thinking. Can graduates actually be discerning around their use of AI and use it responsibly? And as EY is setting out its 5-year plan, I mean, when we look at education and we look at the talent and the graduates that we want to attract, I think it is quite critical that we're looking at talent that can work across multiple disciplines. So, and how that actually also is an important message to educators in terms of being able to work across a number of disciplines, get exposure to sustainability, get exposure to disruptive technologies,
Yep.
innovative mindset. So there's a big priority on sustainability and AI upskilling. But then also there's a big focus around badging. So I think and I know the EU are heavily focused on digital badging and upskilling, but how can we start credentializing a lot of that informal training through badges and working with industries to accredit these sorts of activities? And I think just from an EY perspective and the experience, with graduates and lifelong learning is quite important. So for us, it is about the continuous learning around AI literacy and entrepreneurship. And to that extent, we've created an AI Academy, which is a learning platform that's also open externally. And that is just a platform that just is very dynamic because the pace is changing. We also run these AI boot camps where teams get exposed and get up to speed collectively quite quickly. And then it's about being experiential. So rolling out, for example, Copilot to everybody and making that integrated into your behavior. And then inclusion is a big part. And so it's not just about a gender disparity, but it's also about, we've rolled out centers of excellence around neurodiversity, and where we're looking to work in these centers around unlocking the potential around data, AI, cybersecurity, etc. So I think that's the core tenets, that EY is focused on.
It's been a big battle also for us when you mentioned about the badge and the micro credentials.
Yes.
I mean, it's been a big battle. Also there, many years ago, we worked with the European Commission on the very first entrepreneurial skills pass. This was the very first micro credential entrepreneurship that was developed by JA Europe. And the European Commission, and now it became global. We started in 7 European countries, and now we are in over 60 global countries that are using it. Of course, the European Commission is addressing it, is endorsing it as the Organization of American States, it is, as the OECD, it is, as it became one of the best practice of the lighthouse of the World Economic Forum. So you see how sometimes you need to be the first out there. You need to really be the first. And now we are developing also the employability skills pass. And I'm glad that the Union for Skills would definitely facilitate this micro-credentialing. Nikos, HP is doing a lot in schools. I saw the example in the Ukrainian refugees, definitely, but much more than that.
That's correct. That's correct. I'm aligned with Julian, as he said. We try to have we have a holistic approach for AI in education. So we empower educators with training. We have also an HPA AI Academy, and we do generative AI courses, so they can confidently bring AI into teaching. We have the HP Idea program, which is relevant to the teachers, where we need to train them in order then to train the young generation. We enable schools with right technology. For example, in Greece, you mentioned Ukraine. In Greece, we had 2 events the last couple of years. We had the huge flood situation in the center of Athens. We sent equipment there, especially for the people that they didn't have access to technology. We did the same in Evros when we had the wildfires there. We did exactly the same. We engage in partnership and thought leadership. We have HP Futures, where we are trying also to, with global alliances like Global Learning Council, to influence the broader communities. And last but not least, we have the inclusivity. We need to ensure inclusion, so we have this element in our approach. Again, we are in the 4th cohort of Digital Equity Accelerator program. Greece is part of it, and we are very happy. We have Spain, Indonesia, Nigeria, and Greece this year. So we are giving the opportunity to some NGOs in order to participate with us. We are giving them funding and equipment in order to start this program and educate the young generation and close
Thank
the
you
gap.
so much for all of this. So what you're doing.
Thank you for that.
It is fundamental. Let me say, yes, you need computers. You also need the energy. When there, Johan, with PPC, also how you're making sure that we get it to energy to everybody, also in underserved communities.
Yes, of course, energy, although now we take it for given, electrification of the country took place something like 70 years ago. It's not so far away. So, okay, but energy was an achievement of the past. Now, based on our role, we are also taking initiatives that will allow for AI to become a real, let's say, change in our society. So the deployment of fiber to the home network is one example. And another example that refers to regional development, because we have plants all over Greece. So we're transforming these plants now. And an example is in northern Greece, we're going to create a mega data center in the place that we had a lignite mine in the past. And this mega data center is it's a hyperscaler, exactly scale actually data center, is going to create new jobs around it. And it's high-tech jobs, it will be around AI. So this is the future of the local community there. And this is what inspires students and university students in this area. And this is a long-term plan that we're going to implement there. So this is one level. The second level is our relation with universities, because it's much more closer to our activities. So we have joint innovation projects, and we try to attract talents through collaborating with universities and students, that we give them the ability to get exposed to real industry problems and data, because this is something that is not available so easily. And the next step is startups. So we're building our relation with the open innovation ecosystem. You need to embrace startups. It's not only making an event. So, for example, we have acquired a startup to launch our e-mobility service for charging EV cars. And this shows a commitment to and a belief to the startup capabilities. And then it's schools, and there we approach it in cooperation, of course, with the community. And that's why we support initiatives like JEA and or the robotics team of Greece, etc., in order to support students as well.
Well, thank you so much. I don't think we're going there for a closure or a summary. We will ask AI to do it. But you know what? I'll really ask you to stay for the next panel because we are going to have some great, interesting youth and stories, as well as, if you have time, going down and see all the pictures that are still going on. Thank you so much for all the support. Let me introduce you on stage now the Deputy CEO of JA Europe, Diana Philip, for the second part of the panel.
Thank you.
Thank you for that comment. You made me hear on stage in front of my colleagues.
I could make one.
Applause for our speakers in the first panel. That was very, very inspiring. And I'm here to bring you the practice so that you can all learn from what you will hear next and bring it back into your countries. Because when we develop initiatives, we dream big, but we do them with a purpose to be able to provide and scale across many geographies. And as Sal was saying, Entrepreneurial Skills Pass started with funding from the European Commission and scaled across 60 countries globally. Well, that's why we are here. We are here because we won the first forward-looking grant from the European Commission to combine AI and entrepreneurship. And that is the AI Entre for Youth. And thanks to that project, we have this session here today. But before we hear from the practitioners, Ashish was starting with a quote from Pal, but they are here with us, so I think we need to hear from them because they've been doing an amazing job. So I want to invite you on stage. We will start with the young people so that we can really get energized. We also have the winners of the Intel AI Innovation Award, which is the Seeds Up from Denmark. So please join us on stage. Have a seat. You have 2 microphones. Okay, so now we will get to hear from you. Exactly what did you do? But before I go there to hear from Pal, I know your colleagues are in the room. They won the first EU Code Week Digital Innovation Award. Let me tell you just a couple of words about the EU Code Week, because we like to think bold, but we don't think alone and we don't dream alone. We put together a consortium. We heard it in the first panel. It's so important to bring different stakeholders together. Well, we have many of the partners that you saw on the main panel. We have HP, we have EY, we have Intel, we have Accenture, we have Avanade, we have Microsoft, and many ministries across the countries and GA organizations who join forces in our EU Code Week initiative. And we have a huge ambition. In the next 2 years, we want to impact, are you ready? 25 million young people. 25 million young people in the next 2 years. We are counting the numbers for year 1. We are close in finalizing those first 10 millions. We will have the exact numbers in the next couple of weeks. So the colleagues didn't allow me to give the exact numbers until we have them, but we are there. We really put together an amazing consortium, and we are so grateful to have you here with us because you are the first example of the success of that project. So tell us, what inspired you to include AI in your student company, and how did you do it?
Yeah, of course. First of all, thank you so much for the invitation. And Postpal is a company from Albania, hence the flag. And our idea for Postpal came especially after the bad times that I don't want to remind all of you of, the COVID-19 pandemic. So if you don't know the statistics, about 20% of all European Union individuals couldn't get access to healthcare in fear of catching the virus during the pandemic. So our idea was to create a device that the patient could use, and that data, the heart rate, the temperature, and the O2 levels in the blood could go directly to the doctor using Internet of Things. And that's anywhere that the doctor can be. So our idea to use AI in this came from what one of the panelists mentioned, the Girls Go Circular initiative. So I took the courses there, and one of them was to use e-waste in our products. And our idea was to make the affordable devices by using electronic waste, because there's so much in the world right now that we can use this for the better, to create a better world. And also for the artificial intelligence, we have built the AI model that gets this data from the patients, analyzes it, and using web scraping that gets the research papers of what these differences in this vital data could mean to diagnose the patients. So we think it's a great initiative, and we thank the Code Week partners for giving us this award. And yeah, thank you so much for the invitation.
Well, thank you for joining us. Now, she mentioned Girls Go Circular. She's been in that program. I want to recognize our colleagues from GA Albania. Can you please stand up? Because not only that they were running that program locally, but they're also our national hub, regional hub of the Code Week, doing an amazing job to bring all the countries in the Balkans together in this initiative. Thank you so much, Blenina. Let's go to our team from Denmark. Tell us about your innovation and how did you come up with this idea?
First of all, thank you for letting us be here. But let me take you a bit back before I tell you about the AI. Because what we invented is a dual layer coating for seeds. So it's an NPK fertilized layer and a hydrogel layer around that. So what it do is it helps the crops grow faster, and it can help the crops grow in harsh environments. But we found out the problem is that it has to be very specific what you put in the coating for the exact area. So we invented an AI where farmers put in the land coordinates for their field, and then it calculates based on data from a huge database what amount of coating there needs to be in the coating for that specific area.
Wow, that sounds very complicated. What inspired you to come up with that idea?
Well, I can take that. Because our CTAP is right now the most precise way to fertilize crops, specifically maize. And when we had that, we asked ourselves, how can we make it even better? And the way we do that is to specify the coating for each and individual field around the world.
Wow, that's inspiring. Thank you. Well done. Can I go back to Pal and ask what inspired you with this?
Yeah, of course. So in Albania is classified as a pretty low-income country. So many people do not have the means to go to the hospitals and get that healthcare that they need. And although public healthcare is an option, not many people go there due to problems that our country has, and I'm sure that many of the other countries, not only in the EU, can relate. So our mission was to make healthcare accessible to all. Low-income families, the people who have mobility issues and cannot physically go to the hospitals to get the healthcare that they need. So that was the impact that we wanted to do, and I can say that we did it.
Wonderful, well done. And what are your future plans? I start with you and then I go with you.
Yeah, of course. So our future plans is to scale up the business and probably get more data points so that we can test the device. And our next step is also getting mentors that are in the fields that we have mentioned, especially medtech. And we want them to give feedback to us, positive or negative. Negative feedback is also a really good option that we really want to have, so that we can make sure that this is the ideal prototype for the future world. So, yeah.
Okay. The same question to you. So what are your future plans?
Well, our future plans, right now, we are doing field trials with a larger company, Danish Agro. And it's basically important to say that the AI is not our product, but the AI makes our product so much better. So first of all, we're keeping on developing this product and keeping on updating the AI to make it even more precise. So when we finally launch, we can make as much of a difference as we know we can.
Wonderful. Now you heard there are a lot of business representatives here in the room. What do you need from them? Make a pitch.
So we would ask to, first of all, ask for mentors that could lead us to make our product better. And the other thing is that for a startup to become larger and scale up, they need funding. So I would like to have an initial funding that we could work on to build our prototypes, test them more, and be able to idealize our product that's Postpal.
Okay, so you need mentors and funding. Anyone in the room willing to help on any of that? I see Milena's hand. Milena is leading our pre-seed venture fund, setting it up in Luxembourg. So we really hope to see your teams as one of the first startups being funded by our venture fund. Because yesterday we talked with the teachers. I gave them a task, each schools to help set up a unicorn. So you could become those unicorns we would like to see in Europe. So
thank you so much.
Let's hear from you. What do you want from the people in the room?
Well, of course, mentors are always great. It's even though we are getting a lot of praise for being young entrepreneurs, it's still new to us. It's we haven't been on this journey for very long, so people to talk to and to have sparring sessions with are always incredibly helpful. And of course, specifically for us working in the agricultural sector, it's a very difficult market to penetrate. So definitely funding it's also hard to get because it is a sector that is very unforgiving. You need to be effective. So we take any help we can get.
Wonderful. Well, Mario, I'm looking at you. I hope EIT Food can help them in their next venture, and you will hear more from EIT Food on the next panel. One last question to you. What advice would you give to peers like yourself?
Yeah, the first advice that I would really like to give is just start. Before building the AI model, I thought that it would be so difficult and that it was an unimaginable idea to start with it. But as soon as you get your hands on it, I'm 100% sure that you will be able to do it. And you will get a product that you will be proud of at the end of the process. So I would say just start. Anywhere, especially for the girls, I would really love to invite you to take the courses from Girls Go Circular. It's a really great platform to learn from. And if you have a mentor, that's great. If you don't, you can always start on your own. You will be able to make it. So I think that's the biggest advice that I can give them. So, yeah.
Wonderful. Just start. What about you?
Yeah, actually the same. Just jump into it. None of us have never coded an AI before that we made this one. So just try and fail. Fail is very important because you learn from your failures. Maybe it's don't feel that good all the time, but just keep the face up and try.
Wonderful. So they all tried very successfully, and you will really see the passion in their voices. Can I look at my colleagues from Denmark? Are you in the room to really give you credit for the great job you're doing on the ground? And we see that in the teams here. Any questions to them? Can we have, I think we'll take one of the microphones and we'll use this one here.
So when I was watching the presentation, what I thought was interesting is you had the ability to map where you had maybe fertilization issues or other issues in the field. What I wondered is, if I'm a farmer, I take that map, now I go into my field. Can I actually look at my phone to see exactly where it is, or are we not at that point yet? In other words, can you convert the mapping to actually physically looking at the phone and seeing it using AI or some other technology? I think that would be useful if you're a farmer. You could pinpoint it right away.
Yeah, right now you cannot do that. You just give the land coordinates for your field and then make a calculation. But probably we will look into to make a map so they can see where the problems is.
It just makes it as easy as possible for somebody that doesn't maybe isn't as schooled in technology as you are.
Yeah.
Wonderful. There are no further questions. Thank you so much for being here. Congratulations again for everything you did. And we really want to see you the next unicorns of Europe. Well done.